why have I been given these tools? Why have I been given this knowledge, this ability? To me, that's becoming so natural, yet I can't help usually the people closest to me. Do you like when people try to control you? Pretty sure the answer is no.
No.
No. So
No.
why would you try to control somebody else? It's like, seriously, people,
Thank you.
you don't like to be controlled, then why would you try to control somebody else? And it is control. If you're
Yeah.
trying to force somebody to do something that they're not ready, that they don't want to, that they don't resonate with it at that point in time, you are trying to control them. Admit it to yourself. If you don't, then that's up to you too.
Welcome to the Alchemy of Success Coffee Break.
I'm Pedro.
And I'm Anna. And today we're going to talk about a topic that can trigger you, especially if you've found yourself in a similar situation. But stay with us because we're not just going to trigger you, but we're going to also deliver you a solution for this. And the topic that we're going to talk about today is, do you feel powerless sometimes when you know you can help your nearest and dearest people and they are not willing to accept this power? And I'm going to interview Pedro. He, if you have watched our previous episodes, have found out that has a very profound knowledge in the area of hypnotherapy, coaching, meditation. So his work is created around helping and serving people to overcome a challenging situation so they can live more joyful, free, and more aligned and aware life. So, Pedro, just to start with the first question, did you experience this kind of situation? And if yes, what was the biggest emotional challenge for you? Without going into details, what was the
Sure.
situation itself? You know?
So absolutely. So the answer is yes. And more so is way more prominent since I started doing my new career, my new business, which is helping people through hypnotherapy, what you just mentioned. And the reason I say that is because here I am, I have this business and people are paying me money to help them with their issues, with their challenges in life and their goals that they want to attain. Yet the people closest to me at times, I'm not able to assist or help them to the level that I can because it simply is they're seeing me. Sometimes I guess they see me as their brother, their son, their cousin, or whoever it is, right? So even the close friends sometimes. So it's challenging for me because I see the results, and it doesn't have to be me. It just has to be somebody within my field. But I see the results and the impact it can have, the positive changes. Yet when the hand is extended, they don't feel they're ready for it or they don't feel up to it. And they continue with their challenges and they continue with their struggles that are communicated to me. And it hurts me a little bit because why have I been given these tools? Why have I been given this knowledge, this ability? To me, that's becoming so natural, yet I can't help usually the people closest to me. So it feels like you have this chest of amazing wealth and you're not able to go ahead and distribute that. So it hit me a little hard, especially earlier during this process. But then I had to go through my own internal process and understand, okay, what does this mean to me and how do I try to see things a little bit differently? But yes, I have experienced it, and it's not an easy thing to go through because you care about those people.
And from a completely like human perspective, so let me say experience as a human here, it's completely understandable because we are growing and kind of learning to love the most the people that are around us, our family, right?
Mhm.
So do you think maybe as you came from another occupation and then you switch from the one occupation that you had to completely different field, from finances, CFO, to hypnotherapy and coaching, do you think that this might be also the reason why your environment, closest environment that experience you as the individual Pedro, the CFO, actually didn't accept yet your new role, and that's why they don't trust you with their challenges, or they don't believe that you can actually help them? Do you think that can be a reason?
Part of the reason, yes, but not the largest reason. And the reason I say that is because even though I was in my previous role, I was still mostly me. And mostly me is still, I've always been this person that loves to help people. I just didn't realize it until after the fact, 20 years later. And I've always, shared what I knew at that point. But just that now I share everything about me. I'm no longer holding back. There's a big difference is I was holding back. Now I'm not holding back anymore as far as really being me. But I think the biggest challenge from what I've been told, and it makes a lot of sense, is just that they see you as who you were. Like I said, brother, son, cousin, uncle, or whatever it is, but they've seen you in a particular role within the family circle or even within friends. That's one thing. So it's kind of hard to change that perspective of, wait a minute, now you're this individual that I have to tell my confidential secrets, which is part number 2. So it's really more about how much more do you want to share that's so personal and dear to them when this person, even though they're closest to you, you really want them to know. And that's why I accepted that fact, is it makes a lot of sense. You don't need to know everybody's business, especially because this is such a deep internal work that I do with all of my clients. So I totally accept that. But the kicker is, it doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody within my field. Especially, it doesn't have to be me. It's perfectly fine. It's actually, I even prefer it nowadays as I've been shifting my own perspective. I prefer it not to be me, but just somebody within the field that could actually assist you. So I think it's more that, where they are also sharing more of their personal stuff, their skeletons in the closet, if you speak. Okay. So imagine going to a party and they're like, wait a minute, he knows this and he knows that. Like, I'm not going to put him through that.
I got you. Okay, but then I have another question. Because what you mentioned at the beginning is not just willing to share their skeleton in the closet, as you say it, to you, but actually what I have personally experienced in my family, and the question is it this also in your closest environment, is that the people are either not ready to look under the sheets, to see what is hidden there, what are these skeletons in the closet. So they're not willing to see it. Or at least they're not willing to, when you give them like a snippet, hey, look at that, that they're not receptive to your inspiration. But when somebody else gives them the same hint, the same direction, suddenly, this person, they gave me this and this, and I understand. And like, wait a minute, half a year I told you exactly the same without you needing to pay me. Did you experience more about that? Okay, they're not willing at all. So maybe scared, maybe not ready.
So
it need to be coming from another person that gives the initial kick.
It's both and something more.
Okay, good. Now I'm excited about the more.
So yes, it's the first one and the second one. As far as hearing it from somebody else, and this happens to all the children and the parents. The parents give them amazing advice, but until a best friend tells them, they don't.
No. Nowadays it's YouTube Shorts, by the way. YouTube, so my son comes to me and say, "Oh, Mom, you know what? This guy on YouTube Shorts told me the same that you told me a few months ago. Now I believe it." And I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah. So it's also the fact that not only they might not be ready for it or wanting to open up, but it's more about they're not really seeing fully the picture of themselves at that point in time. So they're not ready to even see themselves fully at that time. And that's a really big one, because as human beings, including myself and everybody else that I know of, it's a lot easier to see someone else's flaws than your own.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot easier. So that's why sometimes people have to point it out. That's why people go to therapists to try to understand the deeper level of themselves, and they have all these different services, of course, not just mine. But it's really, they don't really see what they're projecting out to the outside world until somebody actually tells them. And number 2, do they actually respect that person that's telling them this information? Okay. So that's really is like when you get to the level of respect and you hear it, but you don't want to process it. So they go through all these different phases. Like,
but let me interrupt you here. So actually, my expectation will be, if we're so close in an environment, family, whatsoever, that actually we should respect our own perception more than from somebody from outside. But
yes,
what I have experienced is exactly the opposite.
yes. So I would say this, that I believe in, because you would have to interview other people. I believe that I am respected in my circle. Okay. And because I believe I've shown that since even before I switched careers. I have certain things, certain values, certain integrities, and certain life experiences. So I think is more to me is great. I'm hearing you. I see it, but I really don't want to even go there. I'm not ready to go there. And that is when I have to go to my internal phase. And I started doing this, and now I'm really good at it, is I had to accept where they are in their process. And the best way I can help them going forward is simply holding space for them, saying, I'm here for you if you ever want to talk to me. So I just want to extend that open invitation that no matter what you go through, no matter the situation that you're in, you can always call me because I love you and I will be there for you no matter what. And that also extends to my very close friends. And they know this. I'm there for you. But I will respect your autonomy. I will respect your decision. I will respect your process of integration. So if something bad happens to close ones, my friends, as much as it kills me, it hurts me, I have to respect their choices of their lives because perhaps there's a lesson that they need to go through. Because last time I checked, I'm not God. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I'm not psychic.
And this is especially hard for children. So like parents with children, the parents who want to help their children, and the children who are not willing to receive it. When you just see this pain and you know you can do something and you know you have the power, do you have like a method that you can give our listener how they can easily integrate this inner acceptance and yet you'll hold the space?
Sure. So the first thing that I did, but this is more about truly not just hearing it from my mouth and not just hearing words. You have to integrate it as your being, as your belief. What I'm about to tell you. How do you see the other person? How do you see them? Do you see the color? Do you see the skin? Do you see the attributes? Do you see the character? Do you see the emotion? Do you see the expression? What are you seeing? Do you see the trauma? When the person talks to you, interacts with you, what are you seeing? When I learn, I go to the deepest level, which is I see them as a soul. Okay, what does that mean to me? This is to me. A soul to me is basically a person that's here to experience everything in life that they need to experience. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, if that's the case, then I have to see them that they have to sometimes go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because they need to understand whatever they need to, based on their choices, that they're going to have this unbelievable, hopefully, enlightening process that, wow, you know what? That really sucked that I got into that accident. But if I didn't get into that accident, A, B, and C wouldn't have happened. Or you know what? It really sucked that I had to really express and be so angry about an explosive. But you know what? I needed to let it out because I thought I was going to have a heart attack. So you don't know what the outcome of that experience is, whatever it is. It could be really bad for them. But sometimes it's really necessary for them to go through that because it will elevate them and give them that release or whatever it is. So that was the first step I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm seeing you right now, you're in front of me. I see you as a soul. So no matter how bad of a day you have, I'm not going to judge you. Have I done that to you? I'm asking you that. No.
No.
And I would never do that to you because you're going through your process. So what can I do to you? I learned to just hold space. So somebody could literally, and this has absolutely happened, somebody could really pick up the phone and they're having a shitty day and they're telling me and they're venting. And I mean venting, I mean curse words, anger. You feel the energy over the phone, right? And you know what I tell them? go ahead and vent because it's not affecting me, because I know it's not about me. And then when they vent, they're done, they released. How do you feel? Oh, God, I feel much better. It's just, and then they calm down, and then they're able to listen to whatever perhaps I might have to say or somebody else has to say that they need to be listening at that point in time.
And if they're not willing to talk at all and swallow everything within,
that's fine. Then all I do is, whenever you're ready to talk, if you want to, I'm still here for you. But I do want to tell you, based on my experience, if you don't release, it definitely affects you eventually. And because I care about you and I love you, I don't wish that for you. But I give you your respect, I honor you, your presence, and I honor your process. So if you want to, I'm here. If not, that I also honor that you have no communication. I honor your silence. And then I have to live with it. This is the internal part for me. Then I have to live with the outcome.
Yeah.
And that was a tough one for me over the years, where I had to understand that no matter what happens to that individual, you tried your best. You tried what you needed to do. Okay. You held space. You gave as much guidance as you possibly could when they asked for it, when they were listening to it, and dropped a lot of hints. But if they do something that leads them to a wrong path, then I have to accept that path, because I can't force anybody to do anything they don't want. And I don't want to do that. That's control. I don't control anybody.
Maybe what I can share with you, I was listening today to Dolores Cannon. So, and I heard this also from another sources, and it was like one of her sessions where it was around Jesus or Joshua, where she said that when he was providing his healing or supporting, the people to heal from their like pain or whatever they had, that when he found out in some situation that this was kind of, like, we use the word karma because a lot of people can understand the meaning behind, but when this struggle was karmic, so there was still something for the soul to learn, and if he would have helped to take this away, so that means that the learning or that what the soul wanted to experience won't be actually experienced, he would let it the way it is. So it's actually the way how you say it is just from another perception is like, okay, I understand that we choose this to experience it to some degree. And when you see, okay, this person is still going through the process for finalizing their experience, then, you're just there when they're ready to say enough is enough. So like enough is enough. So then you're there. And if they never do it, so you know that you've done your best. But you need to learn to live with this inner peace that even if they never approach you, and if this means even the worst outcome possible, it's not your responsibility, and to hold the highest vision of this person, so to say, as the soul, as the higher self.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a very beautiful. Of course, for the people who are not so into this way of seeing beyond the veil or seeing beyond body and mind, it's a little difficult, right?
So I'll explain it to them where they can understand it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. You're not spiritual. You're not religious. You're not nothing. Just ask yourself this. Do you like when people try to control you? Pretty sure the answer is no.
No.
No. So why would you try to control somebody else?
Oh,
That's the black and white version.
That's like punch in the face.
It's like, seriously, people,
Thank you.
You don't like to be controlled, then why would you try to control somebody else? And it is control. If you're trying to force somebody to do something that they're not ready, that they don't want to, that they don't resonate with it at that point in time, you are trying to control them. Admit it to yourself. If you don't, then that's up to you too. That's
because
totally
we're
up
not comfortable. Actually, we're not comfortable with the person sitting in this situation, right?
Mm-mm.
It's our own uncomfortableness seeing them. That's why we want to, so we can feel better, right?
Yeah. And you ask yourself, so let's keep going down that rabbit hole. Why do you want to feel better? Why do you want to feel better? What are you trying to get out of it? That's why it's so important to have that, for me anyway, because it's just going to make your life even easier when you accept that you can't control somebody else. The only thing you can be more self-aware and sort of be more in unison with yourself is how you respond to situations. But how the other person's always acting towards you can't control them. You just can't. So that's why it's not just from when they're off-centered or they're going through their emotions, because we're all human. Jesus Christ, we're all human. We go through things, the cycles. That's why it's beautiful. It's learning. But you can't do that. You got to let them be. You got to let them flow. Your choice is, you still want to stay within that environment. Then that's still your choice. You're like, nope, I don't need to hear this. Leave. You do all these things. So you never lose your personal choice, your sovereignty. So
before we ramp up, maybe just one thought that came to my mind. What I'm doing sometimes when I like to help my family, and they're not so openness, I share my own stories or experience with some technique that I did or with some things, and I just left this stories or experience or outcome in the room. And if they show kind of interest, so I'm not telling them, hey, that's good for you, or you should do this, and so on.
You plant the seed.
It's like I put it there. It's like, like that was my experience, or that was the experience I have with somebody that I work with, and that's what changed. And if you don't directly approach them, it's the indirect selling method. So I'm coming from selling. You're selling. We're always selling. The indirect selling method. Oh, look this, but I'm not giving it to you. They're like, oh, but I want to have it because I'm experiencing the same struggle, even if I don't want to share it. So that can be at least one way how we can share things. Drop it somewhere, the links or the ideas or the books or whatever. So when they're ready, they can just open and use it.
Yeah, and the other thing that I went to is I had to also question myself. Here's what I mean. Why do I'm going to ask myself that question. I asked myself that question. Why do I have this urge trying to help these people? Like, who the hell do I think I am? So it's the ego. Like, who? No, I mean, I am here to be me, and they're there to be them. So when they're ready or they want to, they'll reach out to whoever they need to reach out to. But I'm not here to save anybody or everybody. So that's the other thing that I had to realize is like, okay, what the heck? So thank you so much. So drop your comments if you want. And yeah, I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below and don't forget to like and subscribe.